This is DRF Race of the Day. Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF Race of the Day for Wednesday, February the 24th, race number 7 at Tampa Bay Downs. Let's throw up the field for the $100,000 Turf Dash Stakes. You can download free formulator past performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page at drf.com. Download them, handicap along with us. Mike, the number 2 Imprimis on his best day, one of the better turf sprinters in the country, multiple graded stakes winner, looks like the horse to beat.
He does. I mean, this race, to me, Dan, has a little bit of a, 2-horse race look to it between Imprimis and the number 9 Turned Aside, who is also going to take money in here. Turned Aside isn't at the level of Imprimis yet, I don't think, Dan, but boy, by the end of the year, don't be surprised if he's there.
That's a good point, because that horse has a lot of upside potential. We've seen Imprimis go to the post 17 times already with 9 wins. Let's see where they'll be from a pace standpoint. We'll throw up the Timeform US pace projector, and the Critical Way is a fast horse. He made the lead last time out, was run down by Imprimis in that stakes race at Gulfstream Park. We do see the 9 Turned Aside close to the pace. Imprimis has been close in the past, but it looks like he's been relying on late running tactics lately. He had a terrible trip in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, and they got banged around at the start last time.
Yeah, he's not a speed. I don't think you could classify him as a speed horse, Dan, but he doesn't, have to be outrun early in his races either. I feel like if this race doesn't develop in front of him, you're not going to see him too far away.
Oceanic, the number 1, we see in mid-pack on our pace projector, but as we watch the replay of his turf debut, a maiden special weight at Tampa Bay last month, he was on the lead from the start. He got an easy lead, though, Mike, was able to get a breather on the backstretch, kicks on strongly, turning for home. It's apparent he's found what he wants to do, sprinting on the turf, but this is a big step up in class.
It is. We'll see how he handles it. He's kind of interesting to me, though, Dan, to see how he stacks up, because he looked like a totally different horse on turf to me. I realized that he got loose on the lead in there, but he always traveled in there. He was a very handy winner at the end. I just think he's a much better horse on the grass.
Here's Imprimis, who already has 1 run this year for trainer Joe Orsino. It was on New Year's Day, and it was in a stakes race at Gulfstream Park, which meant no Lasix. Kind of important. I'll tell you why in a minute. He didn't break well. He is last turning into the stretch, and you could argue, Mike, he wins this race simply because he's the classiest horse in the field. This is not easy to run down a horse going 5 with about 2 lengths to go with 100 yards left.
Yeah, he had a lot of ground to make up at the top of the stretch. And, when you go back and watch the whole replay, it's worth pointing out what you mentioned, Dan, that he didn't get off to a great start. And I read Ortiz was, very conservative with this horse until they got to the stretch. He left this horse with a lot to do. Imprimis overcame it. That effort's probably better than it looks on paper.
Now, trainer Joe Orsino told DRF's Marty McGee in the race advance for this that he bled a little bit last time out racing without Lasix. They could have run him in a stakes race back at Gulfstream. They decide to run at Tampa, where Lasix is allowed for stakes races. Maybe the Lasix back on, we see a little bit sharper Imprimis. The 3 is Quirky. Quirky was the beaten favorite against a couple of these last time out in an optional claiming race. He was kind of wide in that race. He has a little bit more speed than he showed in that spot, and I would expect Daniel Centeno to be a bit more aggressive this time.
Yeah, he probably should be. I mean, there's a real question, and it feels like the answer is going to be that he's just not as good as some of these horses, and he doesn't really feel like a stakes horse to me, but he is a speed, and he's the kind of horse where I feel like they have to try to make the front with him.
My boy Lenny, the number 4, entered main track only. We'll move to the 5, the Critical Way, who we saw on the lead. Imprimis ran him down. He very well could be the speed of the speed, however, and he gets Lasix for this assignment.
He does. And listen, he ran a fast race last time when he just got run down by Imprimis, but it's not the only fast race this horse has run, Dan. It's not like that race came out of nowhere. This horse could be dangerous in here.
The Connector beat 3 of these common foes in this race at Tampa Bay Downs on January the 23rd. This is the non-winners of 2 other than optional claimer. We see the Connector in the yellow cap, the number 4. He's going to have to work a little bit to run down Jazzy Times, who's a classy horse coming off a little bit of a layoff. The Connector ran well in this race. He seems to like this 5 furlong distance. He likes sprinting on either synthetic or turf. Now he steps up in class.
Yeah, I mean, I respect that he, took a step forward last time and ran a new top figure in there. But he's stepping into a different world here. It just feels like it's going to be way tougher for him.
Arcadia Calls was claimed to start back in a 1 mile turf race. Likely the distance was too far for him. His turf sprint, though, prior, he was defeated by the Critical Way. This is a horse that just doesn't have a lot of speed, and he's going to need some help up front.
Yeah, I mean, it just looks like a deserving long shot in this race. His 2 turf races basically give him no chance in here.
Now, Tench is being aggressively placed by his very good trainer, Tim Ham, who's having a tough meet. Look at all those seconds and thirds on Tim Ham's record. You have a feeling he's going to break out one of these days. This horse hasn't run since mid-October, so he has to deal with a layoff, but he's very, very fast. Let's watch Tench's most recent turf race back at Gulfstream in September. This was a race that produced 3 next out winners. Tench went fast on the lead. He's going to get run down late, however.
Yeah, he has a clear lead here down past mid-stretch. He's going to get tired. He's going to get caught in here. It's not a great loss, Dan, even though it's a big new top figure. You saw him get into some trouble there of his own doing there on the lead, and it probably cost him at the end. I mean, he's still very lightly raced. I could see him taking a step forward here.
Turned Aside recently sold for $725,000 at the Keeneland January sale. Looks like a stallion prospect. He's by American Pharoah. He is already a graded stakes winner, and he pulled off a triple-digit Beyer speed figure in his final start at 3. This race, the Aqueduct Turf Sprint Championship at 6 furlongs. Nice ride from Jose Lascano, who got this horse close to a moderate pace while 3 wide. Jose's looking around when he lets him loose, and when he lets him loose, this horse shakes loose.
Yeah, this is a good performance in here. The pace wasn't fast. That is something to keep in mind because they're going to go faster going 5 furlongs in this race. But he's just a horse who's looked pretty good right from day one, Dan. He's always looked like he had a lot of talent. He has a lot of speed as well, even though he's a horse who doesn't need the early lead. I mean, I think he's a very dangerous horse for Imprimis to have to run against in here.
Fox Rocks is a nice story. This horse is 10 years old, and this will be his 101st trip to the post. Let's take a look at the formulator fact for his trainer, Dennis Ward. Over the past 4 years, older horses moving from dirt to turf sprints, 29%, a $2.89 ROI. He won 3 starts back, albeit against $16,000 starter allowance foes, likely too tough for an old war horse.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say he has a good running style for this race. If there's any pace at all, he'll probably get a good trip in here, but it seems very doubtful that he's good enough to beat this field.
Bit surprised that Jazzy Times was on the lead last time out. His best races in turf sprints have come a couple of years ago, but when he was rallying from off of the pace, he did show the speed in his first start off about, a 3-month layoff or so. We saw the connector run him down. That's kind of been the story of Jazzy Times' career. Lots of minor awards. I don't like the outside post positions going 5 at Tampa Bay down, so maybe that works against him a bit.
Yeah, he didn't draw well in here. His turf sprint form is actually okay, Dan, and he's got some races that could go back. I mean, they got to go back a couple of years to get to his real good ones. You know, they would give him a chance. His recent races, I don't think, give him much of a chance.
Top pick time for our Wednesday DRF race of the day. We both respect Imprimis. We both think this is a 2-horse race. We're both going to go with Turn Decide's upside.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought it was hard to really make a case against the 2 favorites with anybody else. And again, I won't be surprised if Turn Decide turns out to be every bit as good as the top sprinters in the country this year.
9216 for Mike, 9256 for me. It's the $100,000 Turf Dash, one of 2 stakes races for turf sprinters at Tampa Bay Downs on Wednesday. Good luck.